How I do carnitas is how my grandfather used to do it. And he did it how his father did it and how his grandfather did it. This recipe is a family tradition and I keep it the same every single time I do it. Now I know there's other styles of making carnitas, you know, the Michoacan style and all the different, you know, that they sell like for tacos on the streets. But this right here, this recipe has a lot of gold behind it for me. It's a little modernized because, you know, I'm not gonna be processing a whole pig like my grandfather used to. But this right here is just pork shoulder. I have about 8 pounds. Now, the weight of how much meat you're gonna be cooking, you know, that's up to the size of family that you have and stuff like that. But I have some guests coming over. I got 8 pounds of pork here, and this is pork shoulder. Now, when you cut these, you wanna cut these into chunks for about that big. You don't want these too big because it's gonna take you probably a little bit longer to cook it. So we have our meat, and the only thing else we need is we need a couple limes and some salt. That's all my grandfather used to make carnitas. And he processed the whole pig, and he would just be out there, he would season the meat with salt, and he would just throw it in the caso, a big copper pot that he actually got from Guadalajara. So I'll just go ahead and squeeze in our lime. Okay, so we're just gonna mix in the lime all around the pork. Now we're gonna just take salt. We're gonna go ahead and season our pork. That's all we need. We don't need nothing else. Now this only needs salt because we're gonna be making tacos out of this. I'm gonna be chopping this up. This is gonna be a nice, soft, delicate piece of pork. It's gonna be nice and soft, you know, shred apart, tender. It's gonna be nice. So all we really need is just to get some salt on there because we're gonna be building tacos with this. We're gonna be adding a bunch of flavor, salsa, fresh produce, maybe a pico de gallo. Just depends on what, you know, what I come up with. Maybe some avocado or guacamole. However you build your taco, this makes fantastic tacos. We have everything seasoned up. I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in the fridge, and we're gonna let it sit for about a couple hours until we get out to the disco. This right here is a a disco. That's what we call it in Spanish. These come in many different forms. There is the cast iron ones, the real thick cast iron ones. There's like this one right here, stainless steel. I actually bought this one off of Amazon. When my grandfather did carnitas, he did it in a big caso. A caso is a big pot, and it's usually made out of copper. They say it changes the flavor, but I've eaten carnita tacos out in Mexico, and they're fantastic. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the flame on low for right now because we just need to melt our lard. This lard's already soft. I had it out in room temperature. I ended up using 4 pounds of lard, but that's just because I had a lot of meat. Usually when I do this, I can get away with about 2 or 3 pounds. Now you could do this on the stove. If you don't need a disc to be able to make this recipe, you could do this in a pot on your stove. This is just, I bought this for that reason. We do a lot of get-togethers. I do fried chicken in this, I do carnitas. This is actually an awesome outdoor thing for events. It cooks up a lot of food, and I just love having one. Now, as this is melting, the temperature that you kind of want to be at starting off is about 350 degrees. I'm about 100 degrees away. This actually gets hot really quick. This burner is a really good burner. The reason why we want to be at 350 degrees is because the beginning of the cook, we're actually going to be getting a nice crust on those carnitas. We want to seal them. You want to get a good color on there because, you know, this is like a fried. And then once we achieve that, where they got a nice exterior crust on there, then we're going to lower down the temperature and let it slowly cook. That way we can finish them off. Yeah, so we're right on the money, a little over 350, but you want to be at least 350 degrees. Turn it down just a tad bit. Now the pork meat's been sitting in the fridge for about a couple hours. I took them out about 45 minutes ago, so these are kind of room temperature. Go ahead and drop in your pork. You want to go ahead and make sure that all your pork is submerged. So right now the oil is not so hot because we shocked it. We just hit it with a bunch of, you know, colder ingredients. So we're gonna let this come to temp, and then we'll just keep moving things around. Now that we got it back to temperature, go ahead and move things around. Since this one being a stainless steel, this one's not as thick as, say, as some of the, you know, the cast iron ones. So it kind of does burn on the bottom, so be real careful if you have one of these. As you can see, like right there, it starts to burn just a little bit, but it's fine. Just, you know, move things around. So all we're really doing at this point is we're just gonna be cooking this until we get a nice color on the outside of the pork, and then we're gonna just, you know, turn it low and just let it do its thing. This usually takes about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how much pork you have. I got a lot of pork in here. You know, like I said, I got family members coming over. You know, my mom and pops. See if my dad likes my carnitas, like how my grandfather used to do them. Just want to move things around. You don't want things to burn up on you. You know, since this is a thin layer of stainless steel. But they still need a lot more time. You know, when I do carnitas, it's all about look and it's all about feel. So you're gonna hit them at high temperature until they look right, and then you're gonna lower it, and then that's when you just let it go, and then that's when you go by feel. That's how my grandfather's always done it, and he's made some fantastic carnitas back in the day. It's been about 15 to 20 minutes or so. We're starting to get a little bit of color on the carnitas, but they're still not ready. As you see, there's still a lot of pale pork. They need more time. You know, carnitas usually comes out like a nice dark color, basically like how this looks right here, but all throughout the carnita. That's what you want it to look like. But yeah, these still need more time. This is a long process, and it can be, especially, you know, depending on how much food you're cooking. I don't have the whole 8 pounds in here. This is probably about 5 to 6 pounds. I'll just do 2 batches to finish off that other one. But basically all I've been doing is just moving them around little by little. As you can see, you know, this is kind of like the color that you want. You know, we don't have no sugar or anything. This is just seasoned with just salt and lime. So maybe the caramelization, you know, that we're getting is probably from the sugars and the lime. But other than that, this is just pork and salt, really. And when we build our taco, that's what's gonna add all the extra flavors, all the different, you know, the salsa, the produce. If you can use cabbage, you can use pico de gallo, you can use a salsa bandera. So many things that you can put on the taco to add more flavor to it. But with this right here, how my grandfather's always done it, is just salt and just nicely cooked pork. So as these are continuing to cook, I'm gonna just let them do the thing, keep things moving, you know, because I don't want things to burn up on me. You know, I'm starting to see the color on the pork. And, you know, once we get to a certain point, then we'll just, you know, lower everything down and let it slow cook, and then just get that beautiful, juicy carnita that you know you're used to. So it's gonna take a while for it to adjust, but it's not gonna be such a high heat temperature where it's gonna keep frying it. Then it's basically what you kind of want to shoot for is like about 200 degrees. You kind of just want to let the oil calm down just a little bit. Now this style of carnitas, this is how my grandfather did it. He's from Guadalajara, but I know there's, you know, the style of Michoacan. You know, my uncles, and I think that was more like a trend type thing, because at this point, what they would do is once they get that good color, then I would add in all kinds of different things like Coke, oranges, the juice from oranges, lemons, onions, garlic, all kinds of different things into it, even condensed milk. And then they would just, you know, let it slowly cook like that. And that's good. I've done that before, but that's for another video. I'm gonna be actually doing that in a caso, which is the copper pot. So as you can see that the lard is calming down a little bit. We're gonna just let this cool down for just a tad bit, you know, and then slow cook these. Now from here, what we're looking to do is get these nice and tender. Kind of like the same thing with barbecue. You know, you get a nice bark on your pork butt, and then you basically just let it do its thing until it hits like about 200 and something degrees internally, and it's like really pull apart, really tender. And it's kind of like the same concept, except for we're actually cooking this in lard. So this is about what the color you want. Now when I say that, you know, go by color and then feel, you know, once you got the nice golden brown color on the pork, then what we're going to be doing is actually lowering the temperature, slow cooking it. And this happens literally like quick. You know, all of a sudden it'll look all pale. Look at some of these pieces. They're nice and, you know, dark. You know, it happens really quick. You just gotta eye it. As soon as it gets that nice golden brown color, you know, then we're ready to just start slow cooking it. So at this moment, I'm gonna go ahead and lower this down. So this part right here actually takes a while. You know, I'm still probably going to dial this down a little bit. Yeah, probably about right. I got like barely just a tiny bit of flame. I'm actually gonna go down about right there. So this right here will take about 45 minutes or so to get these nice and tender. So just let these slowly cook, and then once you get a soft pork, then they're done. As you can see, the lard's calmed down. It's not so aggressive. We got it on real low temperature. Let's go ahead and check the temp on this. See what our temp of the oil is. Like I said, you want to be close to the 200s range. It's about 218. So it dropped down quite a bit. It's still over 200, but that's still low where I can get a nice low cook time on it. So you don't want this really hot because it'll end up drying out and burning. So you just want to slowly cook this, and this is going to give you a juicy carnita. All right, so let's go ahead and check for tenderness. All right, that's done. Yeah, it's soft. I can be able to shred this apart like nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off, and we'll get inside and make some tacos. So we're gonna start off with our tortilla. Then we'll get a lot of this chopped carnitas right here. Now we're gonna go ahead and add a salsa verde with avocado. I have been on a salsa verde kick for a couple months already. Now the condiments, you could do pretty much whatever you want on top of it. I like to add cabbage to my tacos. So we'll go ahead and lay down a little bit of cabbage, a little bit of onion and cilantro. Then just to finish it off, just a squeeze of lime. And don't forget your beer. This is some good stuff right here. Cheers, y'all. This taco is phenomenal. These tacos are fantastic. You gotta try this. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you can see future videos just like this. As always, I'll leave the link in the video description and in the comment section so that way you can go to my website, cookingwithkirby.com, to get the full printable recipe. I have these recipes, they're really good. You should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care. You ready to get your fat pants on?
Yeah.
Here, who wants a bite?
You already took a bite.
Here, baby, try it.
Damn, now you're dead.
She almost bit my finger off. What do you think?
Can't even talk.
She can't even talk.